Hey beauties and gents, it's your girl Linnee and welcome to Inner Beauty Out. And today we're working on a very different video. I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this beautiful natural glam makeup look. So if you want to learn how, stay tuned. To prepare the skin, we're going to go in with our cleanser as well as our toner. And my favorite that I've been using is by Mario Badescu. I'll list the items below. And then we're going to go in and we're going to moisturize the skin. And my favorite moisturizer that I've been using on just about everyone because it's so universal is the Ombriolisse cream. So I'm just going to make sure that the skin is absorbing all of that moisture to prepare as a base for our makeup foundation. An important tip that I've learned from some of the best in the industry in applying flawless foundation is to make sure that you have a good amount of moisture on the skin. This will allow you to have a beautiful finish without it being cakey. So you have to moisturize that skin. Next up, I'm going straight in with the actual foundation. I'm not even going to use any kind of correctors because the foundation is pretty much going to do the work for me. A foundation that I've been loving lately has been the William Tuttle foundation, and you can find this at your local Alcone or Nigel's Beauty. And it is really affordable, and the pigmentation is absolutely awesome as well as the color range. The shade that I'm using on this particular model right here is called Chinese 2, and I'm just basically using this lighter shade only in the center portion of her face. We want to brighten up the face, but we don't want to cake on layers and layers of concealer and foundation. So I'm killing two birds with one stone by just highlighting more so the inner portion of her face, and then we're going to go and deepen, like almost like contouring the outer portions of her face. So as you can see, I'm just pushing the foundation into the skin with my foundation brush to make sure I have an even coverage. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and begin sculpting the face, and this is by using a shade that may be about a shade or two deeper than the skin, but it's going to offer some warmth back into the skin. Because what happens is when we go in with our foundation, our face is usually just completely flat with color. We have taken out all the dimension that is in our face, and that's just not natural, right? But we're also giving ourselves a clean slate to go back in and go back in with the dimensions by going in with a deeper color. So we're essentially sculpting our face. So I'm going in the perimeters of the face. I'm just going to go ahead and apply that deeper shade just to warm up the skin color and make it look as natural as possible. So just pack on the color around the perimeter of the face, along the cheekbones, along the nose, anywhere that you want to recede or slim down the face and bring back natural color. That's what we'll be doing. Another way that I like to help blend the products together, because you do not want to see any line of demarcation in terms of where the light portion starts and ends or where the deeper portions start and end. So I like to pat the product in over the face again, and what I'm doing is kind of spreading it towards the outer portion of the face. This helps to have more of a gradient effect that allows it to look more natural. So in order to further enhance the lighter portion of the face and just kind of bring back the brightness that we took away when we muted the face with foundation, I'm going in with some concealer, and I'm using a concealer brush. So the purpose of this portion is to bring out the features that we want to stand out. So what I'm going to do is more so bring the light's attention to those areas, and the way that we're going to do that is by highlighting the following areas: her forehead, the bridge of the nose, underneath the eyes, her cupid's bow, and the bottom of the chin, which is more so optional. But basically, those are the areas where the light will reflect outside of underneath the eyes, because that's where the natural light would normally hit the face. Now that we've placed the product in the areas that we want to highlight, we're going to go back in with the foundation brush and basically pat in the product into the skin. And when I say pat, more so around the delicate areas, we're going to do this extremely lightly because we want to diffuse the product as we pat it into the skin. And as we go in the outer edges where it's not as so delicate, we can push a little bit more firmly. However, where the skin may seem to be the most thinnest, which is closer to the eye area, is where we're going to go as delicate and as light as possible. In order to diffuse the product naturally against the skin, you will want to take your time as you concentrate the brush in the areas of where the product is. Let the brush do the work for you, and the harsh lines will disappear right before your eyes. This next step is just as important as concentrating the brush to diffuse the product. This is going to be able to take away any excess product that is laying on top of the skin, and it also helps to blend the remaining product into the skin. I know that sounds a little bit complicated, but that's the power of the Beauty Blender. Using a sponge after your brush technique will allow you to have a more natural finish, almost airbrush-like. Going in with a sponge will also help you to set your face afterwards. Now, having done that, it reduces the amount of product that you have on your skin and allows it for a more natural finish without being cakey. So what I'm doing now is creating a diagonal line from the top of the ear down to the jawbone area, and this is using translucent setting powder. This is going to help me to define further the contoured areas of the face. This actually brings light against the deeper areas so that our model's cheekbones are more pronounced. For the remainder of the face, I'm going to go back in with the same translucent powder, and I'm going to go in with a very light hand and set the rest of her face. Now that I've done set the face with the translucent powder, I'm going to go back and do the same thing with some of my finishing powders. It is important when using cream or liquid foundations to be able to set your makeup in order to keep it in place and also to just further enhance the work that you've done. So right now I'm going back in with a shade that was similar to the contour shade, the cream contour shade that I used earlier in the video, and this is going to further enhance that base that I initially put on. So I want to essentially make sure that that color stands out and brings back the depth and definition and dimension that was originally in her skin prior to foundation. When setting and bringing back color to the face, I personally like to use medium to smaller brushes that are dense but still soft so that it can diffuse the color and give the impact that I need. And for smaller areas of the face, I like to go in with a blending brush. So anything that you would normally use on the eyelids in terms of a blending tool would be perfect for areas of the nose, bringing that up into the brow bone, or if you want to further define around the mouth. So I did do the brow grooming portion off camera. However, I did want to show you how I prep the brows before actually going in with product. And what I like to do is go in with a clear mascara and brush the brow hairs up in the direction that I want to. And to further groom the brows, I go in with a spoolie and do the same thing just to get them going in the direction that I would like. This is all prior to putting on any product. So I will be sure to include the product names and details either within the video or in the description box. But I just wanted this to be more of a glowy, dewy look in terms of the eyes and to keep it as natural as possible. So I'm going in with a particular product that just offers a nice sheen to the eyelids, and that will be my starting base. If you notice, I am not going in with a flat shader brush or packing on color with anything that is flat or synthetic. I'm just using the same blending brush that I've used to contour her nose. To further define the eyes, I'm going in with a shade that is a slight bit warmer than her skin, almost as the same shade as what we use to contour around her face or warm up her face. And I'm just adding this directly into the crease of the eyes just to provide a little bit more definition. Now, with working with different products, sometimes I find it easier to just use my fingers instead of a brush. I find that sometimes using a finger allows the shadow or color or pigment to stand out on its own without having anything to dull the shine. And so I'm using one of my favorite and light powders by Danessa Myricks. As you can see, I was able to place it on the lid with little to no fallout at all. I love this product. Then I'm going to go ahead and just coat the lashes with some mascara. My favorite mascara that you guys already know is by Jordana. It is so affordable and it works amazing. So I'm just making sure to coat the top and the bottom. I tend to like to curve my mascara wand a little bit to in an L-shaped form, and that allows me to get into all the crevices and areas of the lashes. For this look, we decided to go with some natural lashes, and I just placed it literally as close as I could to the natural lash line. This allows it to be as natural looking as possible. It makes the hairs look like it's coming out literally from her eyelids. Next, I decided to coat the bottom lashes with some primer before going in with mascara as well. And I also smoked out the bottom lash line with the same color that I used on the crease. As for her waterline, I went with something that would brighten her eyes a little bit more, so I went for a nude liner in comparison to going with the traditional black or brown. In order to further warm up the skin, I decided to go with a orange tone warm blush, and this is should just bring back a little bit more color and dimension into the skin. It goes right literally above the contour area. I do not want to bring that any further down. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring some highlight, of course, to the cheekbones, and I'm using my favorite Bobbi Brown Bronze Glow. I feel that this is a universal highlighter that will work across many skin types and skin colors. I love how finely milled it is, and it just literally melts into the skin. So I'm just going to go into the areas that I've highlighted, which is more so the nose, the cheekbones, and just kind of bring those portions of the face out and let the light just bounce off of it. We're going to go for a nice nudie pink lip, and as again, this is more of a natural glam look, and with that I decided to line the lips up with the shade Cork. It is a nice warm tone brown, and although the lip will be predominantly pink, this will help the pink to not overpower her face. A good tip when using lip liner is to use the edge of the pencil, lay it on its side in order to provide a more impactful color and just a smoother application. Also, have your client rub her lips together. This will allow the warmth of her body to help melt the lip color and allow it to spread a little bit more evenly. And then I like to have her hold her lip in a little bit so that I can make sure that the lines line up underneath her lips and I'm not overdrawing it too much. Then I like to apply the lip color from the center outward towards the lip liner. This helps the color to fuse together naturally, so one isn't overpowering the other. I like to use small short strokes to be able to blend the color seamlessly together for a clean finish. I personally like using a synthetic brush to be able to get this application on the way that I personally like. I also like to feather out the lip color as much as possible until I get the opacity that I am looking for. I also like to ask my client to rub their lips together occasionally. This helps me to know how the finished will look over time as the client does this naturally on her own throughout the day. So here's the finished look, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this natural glam makeup tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video.